My Catholic Faith, Lesson 164, Powers and Duties of Priests. Rubrics are rules for the proper execution of the services of the Church, for the exact conduct of any liturgical function. The rubrics of the Church are contained in the Missal, Breviary, Ritual, Pontifical, and Ceremonial. In books, rubrics are printed and read, for clearness and distinction. The chief liturgical books of the Western Rite are 6. The Missal contains all the prayers and ceremonies used for Mass, for each day of the year. The Breviary is the priest's prayer book, containing the divine office without chant. The Ritual contains all the services needed by a priest which are not in the Missal or Breviary, such as the administration of the sacraments. The Pontifical and Ceremonial are the bishop's books. They contain the rites for episcopal functions such as pontifical mass, confirmation, ordinations, consecration of altars, etc. The Martyrology is an enlarged calendar giving names and short accounts of the lives of the principal saints commemorated on each day of the year in different parts of the Catholic world. What are the chief supernatural powers of the priest? The chief supernatural powers of the priest are to change bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ in the holy sacrifice of the Mass, and to forgive sins in the sacrament of penance. The Eastern Orthodox priests have received their orders from validly ordained bishops. Therefore, even though they are not united to the Catholic Church, they have the power to say Mass. If they should return to the unity of the Church, they are not reordained. The priests who apostatize or are suspended or excommunicated still remain priests. They retain the power, although not the authority and jurisdiction, of priesthood. For example, they have the power of saying a true Mass, although they would sin grievously if they did so. However, they cannot forgive sin except in the case of the dying. Absolution is a judicial power and needs jurisdiction. Unlike the Orthodox and Old Catholic churches, no Protestant denomination has validly ordained bishops or priests. A number of these denominations call some of their ministers bishops, but they are so only in name unless some individual minister obtained valid orders from a schismatic bishop. What are the chief duties of a priest? The chief duties of a priest, besides living in celibacy and reciting the divine office daily, vary in accordance with the position held. A priest is ordained for the exclusive service of God, that is, for the salvation of souls. His talents, his time, his very life belong to his service. St. Paul says, "He who is unmarried is concerned about the things of the Lord, how he may please God, whereas he who is married is concerned about the things of the world, how he may please his wife, and he is divided." The priestly vow of celibacy is taken when a man is received into the subdiaconate. Catholic priests of the Western Rite are not married, in imitation of Christ himself. The apostles, after they were called to the ministry, left all they had. Elias, Elisus, Jeremias, and St. John the Baptist lived in celibacy. Celibacy is the glory of the Catholic Church. It is an ecclesiastical law, and this is why the Church may, and in fact does, grant a dispensation, as it does with priests of some of the Catholic Eastern rites, and in very special cases with priests of the Western Rite. The duties of a parish priest are many, varied, and of great responsibility. As shepherd of his flock, he is responsible to God for the souls committed to his care. Preaching and teaching Christian doctrine is a primary duty of his. He must visit his parishioners in order to know them and their spiritual needs. He must find out if any new Catholics have moved into the limits of the parish. If all his parishioners have been married in church, if the children go to a Catholic school or at least receive religious instruction, and if the faithful come to Mass on Sundays and holy days. He hears confessions and is always ready for a sick call and the administration of the last sacraments. The parish priest must promote the various parochial organisations, like the Holy Name Society, Catholic Action, Legion of Mary, Sodalities of Our Lady, etc. The temporal administration is also part of his duties. He must see that the church, school, convent buildings, a cemetery if there is one, are properly cared for. One of the duties closest to his heart should be the custody of the most blessed sacrament of the altar. Priests who are not parish priests assist pastors in their manifold duties and works, teach in seminaries, schools and convents. Following the instructions of their bishop, they attend to all sorts of undertakings that have as their end the glory of God and the salvation of souls. The parishioners, knowing of all the duties and responsibilities of their priests, should love them all the more, pray for them, and assist them in the performance of their difficult task. Different solidarities and organisations should take care of the church and sacristy, of the choir, altar boys, of the poor and needy, of the sick and aged, of the unemployed. Parishes are the backbone of the church. What is the divine office? The divine office is the service which all priests and certain other clerics, as well as many religious, are obliged to recite in private or chant in choir daily. It constitutes the official public prayer of the Church. It is contained in the breviary and includes prayers, psalms, hymns, canticles, extracts from Holy Scripture, lives of the saints, passages from writings of the Church Fathers, and the most important prayers. The 150 psalms of the Bible, usually recited within a week, make up the substance of the divine office. Every priest is obliged to say the entire office of the day within the 24 hours of that day. Matins may be anticipated after 2 p.m. of the previous day, but no part may be put off for another day. In prescribed and fixed order, the breviary is usually printed in 1, 2, or 4 volumes and adapted to the 4 seasons of the year. Divine office is divided into 8 parts called canonical hours. Daily about 3/4 of an hour is spent by priests, clerics and religious to say it, and also by some of the laity who laudably recite it in the vernacular. The canonical hours are arranged in such a manner as to sanctify the different hours of the natural day. This is why it is recommended to recite them as close as possible to their own hour. Such is done in many monasteries and cathedrals, an act of public homage solemnly chanted in choir. These are the canonical hours. Matins, the longest hour, usually of 9 psalms and 3 lessons, originally recited before dawn, and now with just reason anticipated the evening before. Lauds, the morning prayer. Prime, said at the 1st hour at sunrise, 6 a.m. Terce, said at the 3rd hour at 9 a.m. Sext, said at the 6th hour at noon. None, said at the 9th hour at 3 p.m. Vespers, said at the evening service. Compline, meaning completion, said at bedtime. Changes in the recitation of the divine office have been discussed at the first session of the Ecumenical Council. The result of these discussions will be known during the second session. What an edifying sight it will be to see priests and people together reciting in the spoken language of the official prayers of Mother Church before the Blessed Sacrament, at least on some occasions.